there's a lot of, things that we're doing that I think will benefit you, especially, the program is designed to hopefully help prevent the progression of Parkinson's, and Parkinson's is a motor skill, so we will want to do as many things that we can because moving is key, and it is a moving disorder. So how do you overcome some of that is try by moving systematically and learn how to be conscious and mindful of everything that you do in regard to movement and how we can actually work with the body to fine-tune some of those things. And, we do the same exercises because we're creatures of habit. So we do the same exercise over and over again. Eventually, we'll pick up on it and we'll learn how to do these things over a period of time, and we actually will build some balance, coordination, and learn to relax. Let some of the tension go in the body. One of the things that causes tension is anxiety. One other thing that causes tension is stress. So, just knowing that you have, Parkinson's might be stressful to you. You maybe overthink a lot of things. So, try to understand that you have it, but the other thing is, what can you do? So you can take things in your own hand, or you can just let things go. But I think the best thing to do is work with, what you have and try to avoid some of the progression that could happen over time. So we start off with our feet shoulder width. Remember how we did that? We start off with this V position. I use angles mainly so you can define that. So that's a 90-degree angle, and you pivot on the ball of your foot. So pay attention to the terminology. Pivot on the ball of the foot, pivot on the heel, shift your weight, find your center of mass. All of these things are terms that I use, and if you define those and understand what they mean, then when we go through these series of exercises, it's much more meaningful. And because you begin to understand, the sort of the method to the madness of why we do these, then you'll see how our body actually learns and responds to what we're trying to feed it. Okay, so in the shoulder width position, we have this hand position. It's called a hoop because it's a piece of a circle, cross section of a circle. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and we have to turn our shoulders. 2, 3, and we work our back. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and stop. Okay, now this hand is here. It's in front of the forehead. It's like this as a whole circle, a whole hoop. One of them is like this. And we're going to go to the side. 1, 2, 3. And you bend to the side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, so we have to kind of sense where our body is in this position, vertical position. When you bend to the side, you're not tilting that way or behind you anyway. Just go directly to the side. Just think of a plane of movement in this plane. So you have to track your movement in that direction. So that's something that you'll build sensitivity over. But if your body's very stiff and tight, then it's not going to know how to do that. So you have to do it enough until your body kind of lets go of the tension and the wrong motion because it doesn't know. So you have to kind of do it slowly so you can feel a direction of movement. Okay, next we're going to do this. Hands up. This is shoulder height. Reach down. Stretch. 1, 2, 3. Then you go to your right. And you go to your left. You go center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, hands up. Reach down. Now, if you have trouble stretching, put your hand on your thigh. Kind of slide down the leg. Then you move to the right. And you move to the left. And you go center, and you lift up, and you palm up. The palms are facing up. Inhale and exhale. Okay, we're going to do that again. 1, bring your hands to your thigh. 2, 3, 4. Go to your right. Go to your left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. So we do a bit of torso bending and stretching to kind of avoid that tense stage. So I know usually Parkinson's happens when you're maybe mid-50s. So a lot of times the body isn't as loose as it could be when you're younger. So the thing is, you'd have to slowly go down and stretch a little bit to the right, to the left. We're not holding the position, but we're just letting it go. And then we turn to the right. I don't stop there. I then turn to the left and then back in. I'm doing mirror image. So when I go to my left, you're going to your right. When I go to my right, you're going to your left. So you have to build some range of motion and flexibility by just twisting and turning. So as simple as that is, it does take some effort, and it does. Now, if this is as far as you can go, then that's fine. Just go as far as that. If you can go deeper, you can. If you can go deeper, you can. And if you do it, frequently, your range of motion will actually eventually increase. And the biggest conflict in that stretch is the muscles here and in your back. So you have to actually learn to bend and fold. And if you're just sitting a lot or not doing anything as far as moving your body, the tension's going to be there. So you have to actually work through all of that. Okay? Now, we're going to do a deep breathing again. So we fold and up on our toes and down. Inhale and exhale. Okay, now, when we go up on our toes, that might take you a little effort because you're not used to going up on the ball of your foot. So that's really a toe raise. If you stood at the edge of a kitchen counter and you put your hands like this and just did, say, 10 or 15 of those, or maybe even starting with 10, that gets your calf muscle working, and you go up on your toes. So that's isolating the upper body, so it's just for stability, and you do that. Then when we do the deep breathing, we actually do inhale and then exhale. And then you hold it up and then down. So that gives you a breath and movement, but you're expanding and letting go, expanding and letting go. So one of the reasons why I do a lot of those is to get the chest cavity wanting to open and close and get your ribs moving, so that all of that really will help stimulate some circulation and actually make breathing easier, so that your chest wants to release and expand. And diaphragmatic breathing is constantly happening, so your breath will actually be deeper, and the volume of air coming in and exhaling will be more lengthy. It's elongated. So that's what I call it a deep breath. Okay, so now hands on the waist. We're just going to make a circle like this. Relax the ankles. Try not to wobble the head. So between the ankle and the top of the head, you have this line from the neck to between your feet, and you're just making a circle. Relax as possible. It doesn't have to be a huge circle. You just have to rotate around just so you can feel your weight going from side to side. So you can feel you transfer weight to one leg, and then it moves over and across, gradually filling and emptying each leg. Then we're going to go the other way. So when we do this, it does take a little coordination and control to make that as round as possible. So you have to use the technique of visualization. So visualization is kind of tracking your movement, and you can feel the roundness, and you can kind of visualize that circle that's being traced. Okay, The other way you may think of it is you're standing in a cylinder, okay, and then you're touching the sides of the cylinder as you go around, okay. So that's just trying to simulate that motion, and we're just going around and around. So let's put our hands here. If we touch here and then touch here, staying within the realm of that circle, then you can actually see how your body is moving and swaying to create that roundness. Okay, now we're going to bend the knees. Now we'll cross the arms and then hold the knees. So this is a little difficult because you're very tight in the lower back. Just do a few less than we're doing. We're going to do about maybe 10. And then actually get your knees cracking a little bit too. And then we're going to switch the other side. Okay, center, and we're back to here. Hands on your waist, and we're going to do a neck exercise. We're going to turn. We're going to turn and look to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now next is tilting. 1. So tilting is kind of trying to put your ear on your shoulder. You really can't put your ear on your shoulder because the neck's not long enough, but it's just the idea of aiming your ear towards your shoulders. It's give you a line of reference. Okay, so that really stretches out all the muscles that allow you to bend and flex. And we don't hold them because if we held those and you're kind of stiff, you could probably get a cramp or maybe hurt your neck or throw something out. But it's gentle, so just do the best you can. And this is a circle. They're called the circular movements. Some people, even people that come to the classes that have neck problems won't do some of these exercises because they have other issues going on up in this area. Okay, hands here. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Inhale. Remember, breathe through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Keep your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. And down. Okay, next, let's put our feet together a little bit closer, maybe 3 inches apart. Then you're going to pivot on your heel and then the toes. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, let's have our feet close like this. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when we pivot, we're just spreading our feet. We don't want to do this. Spread our feet like that because that's too abrupt and we're not really controlling our center. I know sometimes people with Parkinson have a little trouble turning corners, and the way some people will turn is to kind of jostle their feet and slowly go in that direction because I think it's just a minute shift to get us there. But, we do it slowly by shifting. We eventually can actually shift and turn or shift and pivot. We're going to do that in a little while. But right now, I want you to learn how to pivot your feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Depending on how flexible you are in here, you can just do a couple of them until your feet are about a little bit wider than shoulder width. Okay, then we turn. Okay, so when we're here, maybe simplest is go to a V position and pivot once, and so 1.5 times on each side. Go 1, 2, 3, and I'll relax the shoulders, relax the shoulder joints so the arms kind of swing, relax the elbows so you can track your movement and get a good free turn. So this is sometimes a little challenging for some people because maybe the ribs haven't been moving for a while. And so the body has a tendency to get stiff and rigid when it's not in use. And center. Okay, so that's that. So that kind of loosens you up a little. Now we're going to go back to this position, the V position. So we're going to pivot and pivot. So see what they did? Get into a square stance. 90 degrees, that's a triangle to square. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you see that? The ball of the foot, heel. 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 So to get to the ball of the foot, you might not be able to detect where that's, how that feels or where that weight is. So because you're not comfortable and not really familiar with doing this. So if you kick your knee out like this, and then you'll be able to pivot on the ball of the foot. You say, well, I never really kicked the knee out, but, I don't know, sometimes people move their furniture or adjust their mattress by kind of pushing with their knee. So you can kind of jostle something forward by using your knee. It's kind of a hip chuck. So you can do that. You can move your mattress or adjust things like that. I don't know, that's something I saw my mother do, so something that I picked up, that you can move furniture around by just kind of leaning into it with your leg. So anyways, it's just something that you talk about functionality and movement. We can move our body in different ways to do something that we didn't want to use our hand to do. So this is leg work, and we're going to ball to the heel, ball to the heel. Now you're in a 90-degree position. And if I turn like this, and then on the heel, now I'm facing, I just made a 90-degree turn. I'm going to go forward and back. Forward and back. So what are we doing? We're alternating the knees. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to this position. You feel more weight on the back leg, and then when you go like this, you feel more weight on the front leg. Okay, so that's supposed to happen. Now I got more weight in my back leg, and I'm sitting there, so what can I do? I can pivot on this foot. Now I shift my weight over a little bit. I'm going to go over that in a little while. Toe, and then heel. Now when I'm on this side, I go forward and back, and forward and back, and forward and back. Now when we go forward, you feel the weight in the front leg? When I sit back, you feel the weight on the back leg. If I held this for about 5 minutes, you shouldn't are going to feel it in the back leg, because it's going to get tired and it's going to start shaking and everything else. So you can feel that there is weight shift. And then when the weight is back and this is free to move, you're here. Okay? So how do you know when your weight is in the back leg? Your leg is free to move. When I go forward, and if I go forward enough, I'll end up with less weight here. Okay, we'll go backwards, back to square position. I kick the heel out, go to the other side, keep it loose, go forward and back. And now we're sitting again. Here it is. I go forward and then a little bit more. You see the back leg? That's the one that's going to move. Okay, so shifting weight. Control that carries your weight, you move the opposite foot. Shifting weight, take the weight off of one foot, it goes to another position. So that's what we're doing, shifting weight. Shifting weight. So let's bring it all the way to this side. And how far can you go before you tip over, you have to determine that. Now, when you feel like you're about to tip over, bring this foot right next to it. Okay, so there's centering. Shift your weight, and once that leg is free, find your center. It comes against your other foot, but don't put weight on it, just touch. So this is going to help you find out which foot has more body weight than the other. And guess what? The foot that has no weight is the foot you can take a step. Okay? Now we sit back and we go to the other side, bring it here. Now you feel, you can touch with the toe. If you can tap it. And then that's the foot that's going to take the step. Okay? So when we're in the shoulder width stance, and I bring my foot closer together where there's about 3 inches between the feet, and you take a step, that's where your line of walking would be. So that's where you have to get to in order to control your center. Now, if I go backwards, it would be the same width of the stance. And why I don't go to a wider stance, like a shoulder width stance, is because then we'll be walking like this. So you're going to be waddling and swaying from side to side too much. And actually, that kind of weight transition is not good. So the shoulder width stance, when we do exercises, is because it's a compromise between this, which is small base, bigger top. So you're going to be a little bit top heavy. When I do it like this doesn't feel right. You can see. So I go to a shoulder width stance, which is this, and I go like this. Now you can go side to side. So the framework of this stance in relation to your space and the direction of your movement makes sense to have it shoulder width. A bigger base would be even bigger or better. Then you're even more stable, but you can't move. You're not mobile. So we will have stances like that, but that's for a different purpose. So now when we're in the shoulder width stance, we move it to the stance that we talk about that's about 3.5 inches apart here, or even touching that foot to get 100% of your weight there. Go to 3 inches, and that's just about right for your first step forward. Okay. So you probably don't remember when you took your first step, but this is actually much more controlled than the first time you tried to take that first step when you were first trying to walk, mainly because you didn't really learn how to walk. Right now, we're going through this motion of how do you walk. We're learning how to go through the process of shifting weight and taking that next step, and then transferring weight as we roll the body weight, creating the body imagery of the form between the front and the back. So really you can see how, the exercises that I do from the Tai Chi Paradigm are so supportive to why we can improve your walking, work with the strategy of shifting the weight, something that I call, it's age-related degeneration in general, that people, as they get older, will have trouble walking, keeping their balance. And it's not just because they don't walk enough. It's because the body is really tense and uncoordinated from sitting and not being active for a long, long time. So when we begin to do this, and actually I said something about not walking enough, that may be even true, that you're not doing it enough. So here we kind of take it down to the basic method or the body mechanics required to take that first step. So it does take some spatial awareness, knowing your space, okay, control of your weight, shifting, and where our feet have to go when we move in a direction. But in order to move one of the feet, you have to actually, or one of the legs, you have to put weight on the supporting leg. So one thing, just as a reinforcement of why you should not just walk without controlling your center, is because if you just step like this, you're really out of control. And you're out of control because you're putting prematurely the weight in a place that you don't know where you're going. So that's really uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty there when you take that step. But when you take your step and you shifted your weight, there's certainty here because now I've actually moved my foot to a place that I'm comfortable with. I touch with my heel, and then if I'm taking my next step, I fill that foot with weight. I shift and I step and I fill that foot with weight. Now that's what a Tai Chi step is. You fill your step and you empty your step and you move from one side to another, depending on where you're going. Now, pivoting is a way of moving in a direction with a certain amount of security. Why? Because you never left the ground. When you pivot in a direction, if I go like this and I want to just take my step, again, out of control. So if I'm here and I pivot, I'm actually in a controlled state and I can take my step just like I did over there. Now I get to this position, I turn, and I take my step. So I just use an idea is to use this step to turn, and I call that a T step, or teeing out, or making an L, okay? So when I'm here, coming to center, and I make a T or an L, it depends on where your foot is. But if I pivot on the ball of the foot, it's essentially going back to that position. You see how that position is something that you're familiar with, and then it takes you in a direction, it takes you in a direction. Now, if you have trouble getting a full 90, because that's it, then in the straight foot position, you probably can make the 90-degree turn better. So everything is relative to this corner position. So if this is the center of that square or the corner, the triangle, I'm here, I go in that direction, and I go in that direction. You see how that's done. Now, if my feet are square like this, and I turn, I just made a 90-degree. Okay, so that's, if my feet were completely together, it would be like that. And I take my step, and then I want to turn in that direction. Here's my 90-degree position. Okay, so that's nothing more than a military step, turning to the right, and then stepping. Okay, and stepping. I mean, there's different approaches. You could use the ball and the heel, but just for practice and something that's fairly simple, you can actually get used to doing that. So that's just something that I try to bring out to highlight why you can work with your walking, work with how your arms will swing in the natural gait of a walk. You actually would have your arms moving and your arms moving in coordination. But we might not have figured this out, or if you think about it, you might have forgotten that that's what's happening. But now that I bring it up as a concept and a theory that this is how your body should be moving when you're walking, then this will actually highlight a lot of the things that we're talking about. So we're going to go to the next exercise. So in fact, I'm going to take a step forward, then take another step forward. Now this time I'm not going to put weight on that foot. I'm just going to kick it out and then bring it back, and then step, and step, and step, and step. So this is actually what I'm trying to build, is this coordination between the upper body and the lower body, using one leg as the stabilizer, and this foot and this hand. The front hand is the left and the right, and then back, and then forward and back. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the other side. And we're going to take a step. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are you doing? You're building coordination. You're making your hands work with the legs. You're tracking the movement directly in front, and you have a target. So you have a visual. Your visuals are very important. So when I do this, you get the idea that when we're walking, the body has to move in opposite directions. Okay? So when I move, I have to do this, and I have to do this. So when I do this, go forward and back, you're simulating the step, but at the same time, you're building a motor skill where the hands are moving with the legs, and you're going to free up your back, you're going to free up your shoulders, the arms are fairly relaxed, and all you do is have to direct the movements in a certain direction. So that gives you something that you can practice to get more control. Now you say, well, I don't have any trouble walking, but do this exercise and you work the muscles that are required to do that. Because if you don't do this specific drill and think that you can, you don't have problems understanding how walking is done, then you'll miss this whole point. So the whole class is to learn how to design, define the movement and actually get your hands working with your legs so there's a real relationship. Okay, now when I go like this, and I bring it back in, I go like this. So with the mirror, you can see the hands are actually going to the side. So this is really, we're going to just work one side at a time. Let's do 3 here and 3 here. Okay, let's go to the other side. 1, 2, 3. So what's the sort of the common denominator to all the different drills that we're doing? That you're being supported on one single leg. Okay, you're doing one single leg balancing or stepping to the side, stepping to the side. So we did this already, moving it out and moving it in. We move it out and we move it in as we shift. But then when we combine the hands, now you see it's essentially a similar action, but it's not exactly the same. Now, if I want to move that way, I'd have to actually transfer my weight. If I go like this, and now I want to move that way, I have to transfer my weight. So that takes us to something else later on, but at this point, I just want you to have those series of exercises we just focused on was all footwork and leg work, trying to get us to understand the relationship of the hands, upper body, the legs, lower body, and the relationship of how our body should move to be balanced. So in Tai Chi, everything is about balance. And then visuals. I went like this, I tracked my hand. Now here's a mistake that you should. Now when you track and you visualize a forward position, do not lead with the upper body because you're going to tip over. So if you lead with the upper body, what happens to the legs? You have to kind of try to catch up with your body because your body is already ahead of you. So you should keep your body over your torso, over your hips. So when we walk, the only part that moves is actually the lower body. Now, how do we get the upper body to move? Well, we turn the arms, right? When we turn the arms, that's the upper body. You don't have to lean to get your body to work in a forward direction because we're walking. Let the body catch up with the feet. That's what has to happen when we walk. You're moving and the body will stay and it will just go along with you. So if you're getting tested for how fast you're walking, your gait and so forth, well, a lot of it is because when you're like this and you're rushing, you really is not a good way to walk. So the chance of falling, stumbling, it's really the fault of this. That's the biggest fault. Do not do that. The fault line. Boom. Fault line, you crash, you're going to end up not being a graceful way of going down. So learn to keep the upper body vertical as we're doing. Everything we're doing is a vertical body and release the tension in the hips. Okay, so that's what you should get out of all these exercises that we just did, in the last 20 minutes or so. Okay, now, these are the leg things that we did, and that goes from side to side. Okay, now we're going to go to another coordination exercise called silk rolling. So we're like this. We're going to go forward. Here's a position, and back. Here's a position. Then we go forward and back. We're going to turn. Now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we smooth it out by turning into the direction of the movement and leading with the hand. That's the front hand and the front leg sort of so use that as a guideline, as the biggest circle. Now when we get to here, this comes to here, and separate, and keep it as continuous and build that continuity. Now we're going to shift to the other side. Now we're here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just cycle through. A couple of times, keep it continuous. And once we get to a certain point, we pause. Okay, shake it out. Okay, now let's cross the arms. This is called opening and closing. So again, we want to keep the torso as relaxed as possible. We're just going to open. So opening and closing is just expanding. So when we do deep breathing, it's like this, we're expanding. And we come back in, expand, and come back. That's the only thing we can actually do with our arms is go out and come back in, go out and come back in. Sort of like that guy on Saturday Night Live that says, I pick it up and I put it down. I pick it up and I put it down. Well, actually, we're just expanding and contracting. That's all we're doing, right? Open and close. Open and close. So we just have to get the movement to happen, and actually you'll feel your back moving, you feel your chest expanding, and you feel when you expand, everything expands. Even straightening the lower leg expands and then contracts. Okay, shake it out. So expansion and contraction. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, next, we're in a shoulder width position, so let's do this. Keep the body straight. When we bend, just relax the ankles. So you know, when you go forward like this, and you bend your knees, if you don't relax the ankles, your body will want to lean. Okay. So one of the things that happen, or one of the faults, is that people don't release the ankle enough to keep the vertical position, because when the knees go out and you don't fold the ankles, if you just bent the knees, you're actually going to stick your butt out, because if you didn't do that to compensate for the forward bend, then you're going to be tipping over and falling forward. So to compensate for the downward, you have to relax your ankles. And you don't have to, it's not a huge bend. It's just a lowering of the body, but it allows your ankles to release, and that's really what's happening. Okay. So here's preparation. Okay, next. Now we're going to do some stillness. We're going to stand about shoulder width apart. This is fairly simple. We have 5 positions that we do this in. It's called standing meditation. Clear your thoughts. Look ahead, but don't stare at anything. Just gaze. So just clear your thoughts. Hold the position. Let your body go through sort of this relaxed phase. Sustain the position, but not too relaxed where they kind of like feel like a wet rag. Okay, let's let it go. Go up to about shoulder height. Breathe through your nose, tongue touching the roof of your mouth. So it's not a deep breath, it's just a natural breath. That's position 2. Position 3 is this. Hold the ball, elbows down, vertical elbow. Elbows are pointing down. Okay. So that's the first 3 positions. You have 1, 2, those are considered elbow out. Third position is elbow down. Now we're going to lower the hands and go to vertical palms down. Arms along the side of your body. Lift, straighten the knee, lift the back so it straightens up as much as you can. Feel like you're reaching up. Keep your chin tucked in slightly. Okay, now let's go to the vertical position again, fingertips pointing down. Okay, good. That's it. Deep breathing. Those are the 5 positions. Okay, so just recap those 5 positions. What are they? 1 starts in the bottom, goes to the middle. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. There's no third one for this one. The third one becomes this. And 4 and 5 are the 2 positions here. So the first one's palm down, the second one is fingertips down. These are the first 3. Knees are slightly bent, and you're actually a little bit rounded in the back. So you're rounded in the back for the first 3. This is straightening or taking that roundness out of the back. And fingertips down. So both are, not rounded. They're the straight part of that side. So you have 3 and 2. All right. So those are the 3 positions. If you recall those, you can do those at any time. Okay, now, and one more. Inhale, up on your toes, and down. Okay, good. So now we're going to make a few circles. And the other way. Okay, now we'll make a bigger circle. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. On 3, it goes way up high as you can. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, so you see how we did that? You have 2 circles like this and like this. Okay, now we're going to do the offset movement. So we have 1 circle here and 1 circle here. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1. Now our right hand is up. Now let's bring the right foot over. 1. over the left, over the left, over the right. So this is just adding the side-to-side shift. So that's really what's happening, is shifting away. So cloud hands actually has footwork that allows us to move in a direction, but you'll actually begin to build some coordination as we learn to move the feet and the hands. And if you do it slowly, you can feel your weight going over that foot. Now over this foot, and then because this is stepping out, we have to bring it a lot further to get our foot there. Then the same thing applies here. Okay, good. So that's cloud hand movements. Okay, now we're going to put our hands on our waist and do some shoulder rolls. Now go backwards. So this is still trying to loosen this area up and press, release. Exhale, inhale. So press with the palm, release, exhale, inhale. And stop. Okay, deep breathing, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Okay, back to the mirror. So we did the cloud hand movements. Now we're going to do carry tiger to the mountain. So that's lower hoop, the upper hoop, and palms out. Cross hands, it's right in front of your sternum. See that position? So all of these things are not only patterns, but positions. Here's a position. We just pass through. Okay, now we're going to do the infinity sign. So there's a line here. Now we're going to open. And now we're going to go to this position, form the fist. and center. Good. Now palms together. There's your triangle. Elbows down. Strum the lute. Okay, now thumbs up. Alternate the shoulders. And center. Switch. And center. Fingertips out. Turn, draw the bow. Okay, next, spread the feet, cross the arms. Let's just make some circles like this. Let's put the right hand on top. Just make the circles. Okay, we'll do a couple to the left. Put the right hand on top, to the left, to the right, to the left again, and then to the right. Okay, shake it out. Now we're going to go up, raising the hand, go up as high as you can, drop it down. And palms down. Okay, shake it out. Okay, deep breathing, hands up. Okay, so those are basically the exercises that we do in the class. If you haven't run through all of these in one setting, you can always revisit it on our website. It's also on the Tai Chi Paradigms, actually the Parkinson Foundation, and also YouTube, and it's also in some of the social media outlets. So, you know, whichever way you access it, if you can save it on your, wherever you save your links, then you can always click on it whenever it shows up. There is classes out every Tuesday and Thursday live, and Saturday morning. It's archived, so you know, if you did it 2 or 3 times a week, it would be good. But you can actually do it any time during the day because it is archived and you can access it. So if you like it, give us a thumbs up and actually subscribe to it. That way you can do all the exercise and tutorials over and over again. So I just wanted to get that across. And everything that we did today in regard to footwork, you can keep doing those. In the other classes, we have some other material that we worked on. Generally, it's the same exercises that we do in the Tai Chi Paradigm in the 9:30 classes in the morning. We work more on sequence there for the Tai Chi form, but because I realize that people that are just tuning in, if I did these exercises, the postures, and the sequence, it's just too much for new people to absorb, and I can't actually explain the things that you should know that's important, because if you don't understand why you would do something like this, the tendency is not to do it. So the more information you have about these exercises and the more understanding you can develop from doing them, then the better your movements will be. And anything that's we're doing here is hopefully something that we can aid in the prevention of the progress of the Parkinson's. Because as a motor skill, we have to keep moving, the motor neurons, and we have to keep moving our body. Otherwise, it's going to get stale and rusty like anything else that's mechanical that you don't use. It starts to get tight, it gets stiff. Just think of your car sitting there for a week or so. As soon as you drive it, it starts to squeak, and the brakes kind of like a little bit, stuck because everything starts to rust. It's oxidation. So our body does that kind of stuff too. It rusts, it becomes oxidative, stressed, and all that stuff. So things like that happen. Your body doesn't like it. So you have to keep moving. When you move, you keep the fluids going. When the fluids are going, you're bringing nutrients and oxygen to your cells and to your brain. So all this stuff is really important. Let's see, what time is it? We got about 5 minutes. So let's go through this movement, which is really called preparation. Okay, now let's do this movement, which is a clockwise circle. Let's do this movement, which is a counterclockwise circle. Okay, let's do this movement as we pass through center. You notice I pass through center and I take a step. 1, 2, 3. Then I pick up my left foot and I go backwards. 1, 2, 3. So when we go forward, it's heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe. Now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, you see that? That's forward, right, backward, left, right, left. Now we're going to coordinate that. 1, 2, 3. Go backwards. 1, 2, 3. You have 3 steps. 1, this is clockwise. 2, 3. On 3, you're here. 1, 2, 3, you're here. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just exaggerating that I don't have any weight on that stepping foot. Once we get to here, it's on the right. You start with the right, you end on the right. You start with the left, and you end on the left. Okay, so that gives you an idea. That's forward, backward, forward, backward. And then side to side, we have this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, if you want to practice that with 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, so all of these drills, I call it specificity of training. If the goal is to improve your walking forward and backwards, or sidestepping, coordinated with the hands and legs, or building coordination between them, then the only way to develop it is to do it, because you not only have to program the movements into your body, but you have to build sensitivity, awareness, and use your proprioceptive reflexes and timing to feel what that feels like, so you can improve on the movement, and then over time start to feel comfortable, because the body is much more relaxed. It's much more, where it's going. And when we talk about sensitivity, it becomes a feeling. When it doesn't feel right, it's probably feeling awkward or not right. So your feeling, sensitivity, all of that becomes a heightened awareness. So you're conscious of it, you're mindful of the movement, and the mind-body relationship that you're building between the what's going on in here and what's going on in here will start to sync up and work together. Okay, on that note, I think class is going to run out, and so I'm going to resume some of this information again on Thursday, same time, and hope you practice between now and then. Give us a thumbs up again, as I said, and subscribe, because the more people you get to do this, the better it is for us. And, I work a lot on trying to think of how I can help you get over some of these humps. So let me know if you have any problems with any of the exercises so that I can kind of work and highlight them. Okay, thanks.